For centuries, artists painted angels as beautiful beings with shining wings, gentle faces, and peaceful expressions. They appeared in churches, stained glass windows, and religious paintings as symbols of comfort and hope. But hidden deep within the pages of the Bible lies a far more disturbing reality. A reality that few people ever talk about, because the angels described by ancient prophets were not always human-like. They were strange, unsettling, sometimes terrifying beyond imagination. The mystery begins in the deserts and kingdoms of the ancient Near East, thousands of years ago. Long before modern religions took shape, civilizations across Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Canaan told stories of divine beings descending from the heavens. These entities acted as messengers, warriors, judges, and guardians. Some possessed animal features. Others appeared as blazing lights in the sky. Many inspired fear rather than comfort. When the books of the Bible were written, these ancient traditions already surrounded the people of Israel. Yet the biblical accounts introduced something even stranger. Again and again, whenever an angel appeared before a human being, the first words were often the same. Do not be afraid. It is an unusual greeting. Why would heavenly messengers repeatedly need to calm terrified witnesses? The answer may lie in what those witnesses actually saw. One of the most mysterious descriptions appears in the Book of Ezekiel. Around the 6th century BCE, the prophet Ezekiel claimed to witness an extraordinary vision near the Kebar River during the Babylonian exile. What he described has puzzled scholars, theologians, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. A storm approached from the north, a massive cloud filled with flashing fire. Brilliant light surrounded it. Then figures emerged from the center. They were unlike anything that resembled a human. Each creature possessed 4 faces: a human face, a lion's face, an ox's face, an eagle's face. Their legs resembled polished bronze. Their wings touched one another. And beside them stood enormous wheels. But these were no ordinary wheels. Each wheel intersected another wheel at impossible angles. Their rims were covered with countless eyes. The creatures moved without turning. The wheels moved with them. Every motion appeared perfectly synchronized, and above them floated a crystal-like platform supporting a radiant throne. For centuries, artists struggled to portray this vision because it seemed almost impossible to visualize. Some modern readers have suggested that Ezekiel witnessed advanced technology. Others believe he described symbolic spiritual realities. Yet, regardless of interpretation, one fact remains undeniable. The creatures he saw looked nothing like the angels found on greeting cards. The beings in Ezekiel's vision belonged to a class of angels known as cherubim. Today, the word cherub often brings to mind chubby babies with tiny wings. But biblical cherubim were among the most powerful and fearsome beings in heaven. The first appearance of cherubim occurs near the beginning of the Bible itself. After Adam and Eve were expelled from Eden, God placed cherubim at the eastern entrance of the garden, not merely as guards, as guardians wielding a flaming sword that moved in every direction. Their purpose was clear: no human would ever return. This raises an intriguing question. Why would paradise require such terrifying protection? Ancient Jewish traditions expanded upon these mysteries. Some texts describe cherubim as throne guardians standing closest to the presence of God. Their appearance reflected multiple forms of creation simultaneously, symbolizing divine authority over every living thing. But Ezekiel's vision was only the beginning. Another biblical prophet would encounter something even stranger. Around the 8th century BCE, Isaiah entered the temple in Jerusalem and experienced a vision that transformed his life forever. The temple disappeared. The earthly world faded away, and before him stood the throne of God. Surrounding it were beings called Seraphim. The description is brief but astonishing. Each possessed 6 wings. With 2, they covered their faces. With 2, they covered their feet. And with 2, they flew. They cried out continuously, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty." Their voices shook the foundations of heaven. Smoke filled the temple. The entire scene resembled less a peaceful gathering and more a cosmic event unfolding beyond human comprehension. The word seraphim itself may hold another secret. In ancient Hebrew, the root word saraph means to burn. Some scholars believe seraphim were literally envisioned as fiery beings. Others point toward ancient Near Eastern imagery of winged serpents. Even more intriguing, archaeological discoveries from neighboring cultures have revealed depictions of divine serpent-like creatures associated with heavenly realms. Could the seraphim have appeared more reptilian than human? No one knows for certain. Yet the possibility adds another layer to the mystery. And then there are the Ophanim, perhaps the strangest angels of all. Unlike cherubim or seraphim, Ophanim receive little direct attention in modern religious teachings. Yet they occupy a significant place in ancient Jewish angelology. The name means wheels. Many scholars identify them with the living wheels described in Ezekiel's vision. Imagine gigantic rotating structures covered entirely with eyes. No face, no hands, no human characteristics, only wheels within wheels, watching everything, moving according to divine will. The imagery feels startlingly alien. In modern times, some UFO enthusiasts have claimed that Ezekiel described extraterrestrial spacecraft. Books, documentaries, and television series have explored this possibility for decades. Most historians reject these conclusions, arguing that Ezekiel employed symbolic language common in ancient prophetic literature. Yet the debate persists, because no matter how scholars explain the vision, its imagery remains deeply unusual. As Christianity spread across the Roman world, angelic imagery gradually changed. Influenced by Greek artistic traditions, angels became increasingly human in appearance. Wings were added to symbolize heavenly origins. Elegant robes replaced terrifying forms. The transformation made angels more relatable, more approachable, perhaps even safer, but the older descriptions never disappeared. They remained hidden within scripture, waiting for curious readers to discover them, and the mysteries only deepen when we examine ancient texts that never entered the Bible. One such text is the Book of Enoch. Though excluded from most biblical canons, it was widely read during the Second Temple period and influenced early Jewish and Christian thought. Its story begins with a shocking rebellion. A group of angels known as the Watchers descended to earth. They were tasked with observing humanity. Instead, they became fascinated by human women. The Watchers took wives, taught forbidden knowledge, and produced offspring known as the Nephilim. These giant beings spread violence across the earth. Civilization descended into corruption. According to the narrative, this catastrophe contributed to the events leading toward the Great Flood. The Book of Enoch portrays angels not merely as servants of God, but as beings capable of choice, ambition, and rebellion. The implications are profound. If angels possess free will, then heaven itself becomes a stage for conflict, and conflict appears throughout biblical tradition. One of the most famous examples involves Lucifer. Contrary to popular belief, the Bible never provides a detailed narrative describing Satan's fall from heaven. Instead, later interpretations combined passages from Isaiah, Ezekiel, Revelation, and other sources to construct the story familiar today. The resulting image is unforgettable: a glorious heavenly being consumed by pride, a rebellion against divine authority, a cosmic war, and a fall into darkness. Whether interpreted literally or symbolically, the story shaped centuries of religious thought. Yet it also raises difficult questions. If angels are perfect servants, how could rebellion occur? If heaven is flawless, how could corruption emerge? The answers remain elusive. As centuries passed, angelic hierarchies grew increasingly elaborate. Early theologians attempted to organize the heavenly host into distinct orders: Seraphim, Cherubim, thrones, dominions, virtues, powers, principalities, archangels, angels. Each category fulfilled unique functions within the divine order. This celestial structure influenced medieval Christianity profoundly. Yet many details originated not from direct biblical descriptions, but from theological speculation. The most influential system came from a mysterious writer known as Pseudo-Dionysius around the 5th century CE. His hierarchy shaped angelology for over 1,000 years, and through it, terrifying biblical beings became integrated into a structured vision of heaven. But archaeology has introduced new questions. Across the ancient Near East, excavations have uncovered statues and carvings depicting hybrid creatures remarkably similar to biblical descriptions. Winged lions, human-animal combinations, multi-faced guardians, gigantic throne protectors, at sites connected to the Assyrian and Babylonian empires. Such figures stood at palace entrances as symbols of divine power. Some scholars argue that biblical writers adapted familiar imagery from surrounding cultures. Others maintain that these similarities reflect a shared ancient understanding of spiritual realities. The debate continues, and every new discovery fuels further discussion. Meanwhile, modern psychology offers its own perspective. Researchers studying mystical experiences note that encounters with overwhelming transcendence often produce descriptions that defy ordinary language. Witnesses struggle to communicate what they have seen. They rely on symbols, metaphors, impossible combinations, eyes everywhere, wheels of fire, creatures with multiple faces. Perhaps these descriptions represent humanity's attempt to describe encounters beyond normal perception. But this explanation creates another mystery. Why do similar patterns appear across cultures separated by vast distances? Why do so many civilizations describe heavenly beings as simultaneously beautiful and terrifying? The question remains unanswered. In recent decades, interest in biblical angels has exploded online. Millions have discovered the original descriptions hidden within ancient texts. Social media users react with shock. Videos comparing traditional angels to Ezekiel's creatures gain millions of views. The realization is often the same. The angels of Scripture are stranger than anyone imagined. Yet perhaps that is precisely the point. Throughout the Bible, encounters with angels rarely bring comfort. They bring disruption, fear, transformation. Lives change forever. Abraham receives impossible promises. Jacob wrestles with a mysterious divine figure through the night. Daniel collapses in terror during heavenly visions. Mary learns she will give birth to a child who will alter history. Again and again, angelic encounters mark moments when the boundary between heaven and earth suddenly breaks apart. The witnesses are never fully prepared, neither are we. And perhaps the greatest mystery is not what angels look like. Perhaps the greatest mystery is why they appear at all. Ancient texts portray them as messengers from a reality beyond human understanding. A reality that occasionally intrudes upon our world. Briefly, unexpectedly, then disappears again, leaving only stories behind. Stories copied by scribes, protected by priests, debated by scholars, feared by kings, and studied by millions seeking answers. Yet after thousands of years, certainty remains out of reach. Were the prophets describing literal heavenly beings? Symbolic visions? Psychological experiences? Interdimensional entities? Advanced technology mistaken for the divine? Every theory solves one mystery while creating another. And so the questions endure. Somewhere in the deserts, where prophets once wandered, beneath the ruins of forgotten cities, and within the pages of ancient manuscripts preserved across centuries, fragments of those encounters remain. A throne suspended above living creatures, wheels covered in eyes, burning serpents singing before a cosmic throne, guardians standing at the gates of paradise, messengers whose very presence caused people to fall trembling to the ground. These are not the harmless figures of popular imagination. They are beings born from humanity's deepest attempts to understand the unknown. And perhaps that is why their descriptions continue to haunt us, because hidden beneath every account lies a disturbing possibility. What if the prophets truly saw something so overwhelming, so impossible, that the only way to describe it was through creatures with countless eyes, burning wings, and forms that shattered every expectation of what an angel should be? The centuries have passed, empires have risen and fallen, languages have changed, civilizations have vanished. Yet those ancient visions remain, watching from the pages of history, silent, unexplained, waiting for the next generation to ask the same unsettling question. If these were the messengers, what then must the throne they served have looked like?